Jawaharlal Nehru, India's first Prime Minister, articulated the foundational principles of independent India's foreign policy, not in a single landmark first speech, but through a series of crucial addresses from 1947 to 1948, most notably to the Constituent Assembly Legislative, on the 8th of March, 1948. Non-alignment was the lodestar of Nehru's foreign policy vision. In his 1948 Constituent Assembly speech, Nehru explained that India, unlike smaller nations forced by circumstances to bow down before some of the greater powers, had both the will and capacity to chart its own course. He rejected the idea that India should become a satellite of any superpower, insisting that India must particularly avoid the two superpowers and their Cold War. This stance was not just geopolitical calculus, but also a moral assertion. India, with its strong individuality, had a mind of its own, a soul and spirit of its own. Nehru's policy was not isolationist, but actively internationalist. He envisioned India as a champion of peaceful coexistence, anti-colonialism, and Third World solidarity. He sought to build a world order based on mutual respect, non-aggression, non-interference, equality, and mutual benefit, principles later formalized as Panchsheel in the 1954 India-China Agreement. These principles were not abstract ideals but practical tools for navigating a world riven by Cold War tensions. Peaceful coexistence. Nehru repeatedly emphasized the importance of resolving disputes through diplomacy and dialogue, seeking to establish amicable relations even with ideological opponents. He believed India's example could promote global peace, especially by avoiding entanglement in military blocs. Nehru was, a really vocal advocate for decolonization, supporting independence movements in Asia, Africa, and Latin America, because he believed colonialism was, a grave injustice. He argued that India should stand with other newly independent nations to address shared challenges like underdevelopment and the lingering legacies of imperialism. Disarmament and global governance. Nehru championed disarmament, seeing it as essential for world peace. India was active in United Nations discussions on disarmament, human rights, and development, reflecting Nehru's belief in collective security and global cooperation. In his own words to the Constituent Assembly in 1948, Nehru said, "I can understand some of the smaller countries of Europe, or some of the smaller countries of Asia being forced by circumstances to bow down before some of the greater powers and becoming practically satellites of those powers because they cannot help it. But I do not think that consideration applied to India." He argued that India had both the moral responsibility and practical ability to pursue an independent foreign policy, avoiding entanglement in the emerging superpower rivalry. In conclusion, Nehru's early foreign policy speeches did not lay down rigid doctrines, but articulated a vision for India as an independent, principled, and internationally engaged state. His ideas on non-alignment, peaceful coexistence, and solidarity with the global South continue to influence India's foreign policy, even as the country adapts to a multipolar world. If you found the video insightful, hit the like button and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video.